Hello everyone. I'm going to try a different method for doing the lore, where I give you maybe a little bit more summarized. Probably won't take as long as reading the whole thing. And you also don't have to deal with my awful voice acting, although I will read a couple lines here and there, but I think this might be a little bit funner. But before that, let's do a quick summary of the last episode. Chaos explained to Roa what had changed in the last 3,000 years, how nation, borders, things had changed like that. And then he tasked Radalina with taking care of Roa. Radalina didn't agree to this. But this is where our story picks back up, with Roa trying to keep up with Radalina as she actively tries to ditch him. The poor boy can't catch a break. During this time, Roa sees a child begin to walk closely behind Radalina, and then suddenly it steals something from around Radalina's waist. Roa, ever so quick, grabs the child's hand and asks her to return the stolen item. He now gets a better view of the child and finds her to be a flashy pink and yellow girl of the insect race. The child he had caught is atrocious moth girl Maple, a card a lot of you may be familiar with if you play Thegrea or Keter Sanctuary. Roa asks her to return the wallet, and obviously, she denies stealing anything. This causes Radalina to lose her nerve, and she puts her hand on the hilt of her sword, which the amount of times Radalina has almost stabbed someone in the story is a lot for someone who's supposed to be a heroine. But, understandable if you keep getting robbed or threatened. But Roa knew that it wouldn't end well, but what could he do? He's still missing an arm. The story hasn't fixed his arm. He's still just one arm this whole time. But from the heavens, or more likely the crowd, he hears Maple. A female dignified voice spoke those words, and the face on Maple turned into blatant disgust. So clearly Maple doesn't like this person. The voice came from a voluptuous female knight. This is what the lore says, not me. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm just using a direct description. Don't say I'm down bad for Thegrea. That's what it says in the lore. I'll quote it. I'll put a picture in the video so you can see what it says. But nonetheless, the knight had a great sword that clearly did not match her body. I don't know who wrote this, but again, there's another thing they say. She quickly assessed the situation and, air quotes, twisted Maple's arm. Maple apologized and was forced to bow by the female knight's strength on her head. Poor Maple. She's not having a great day. Radalina had calmed down and said that it was okay, so there was no need to escalate the situation, which is funny, seeing as she was going to decapitate poor Maple like 5 minutes ago. The female knight says that Maple is her apprentice, and that she's part of the Royal Paladins. She introduces herself as Thegrea, the leader of the Second Knight Order of Keter Sanctuary's Royal Paladins, and introduces Maple as her apprentice, which Maple denies almost instantly. Maple struggles under Thegrea's arm, but clearly as a high-ranking officer of the Royal Paladins, her strength was clearly off the charts, clearly way stronger than Maple could ever dream of. Thegrea then invites the pair to lunch, and this gets Maple's attention very quickly. Thegrea then hits poor Maple on the head, because she's like, hey, you gotta be more civilized. As they walk, Thegrea catches the eyes of many, obviously, but they quickly avert their gaze when they see the greatsword on her back, or, more importantly, they feel an insane amount of pressure that the gem on Thegrea's sword is giving off. Once they reach their destination, Maple quickly gets a knife and spoon in her hand and demands the whole menu. Thegrea told her that she could get everything, she just couldn't get alcohol, which Maple obviously asks why, and Thegrea tells her that because a strong knight doesn't drink alcohol. Maple declares that that's fine, that she can drink alcohol because she doesn't want to be the greatest knight, she wants to be the world's greatest villain. Again, direct quote, Roa thought about how much the world must have changed in the 3,000 years he's been gone if a member of the Royal Paladins, these very dignified knights, would associate with a member of Mega Colony. Obviously, he wasn't sure that Maple was part of Mega Colony, but given that she had pickpocketing skills, Roa believed that there had to be some sort of connection there. Then Roa asks Thegrea if there's a reason she's in Thegrea, and if she is also just searching for the fire gallus. She says yes, that she's providing assistance to the local knights to keep the peace, as she mentions that quite a few crazies have tried to get in. She even mentions how just recently there was an intruder at the sacred temple. Meanwhile, Radalina feeds Momoke, pretending to not hear a single word that just came out of Thegrea's mouth, as she knows that they are speaking about her. Thegrea then tells Roa that this is not the only reason she is here. She's chasing a murderer. The murderer had killed Thegrea's mentor, Gerard, who was the previous leader of the Second Knight Order. The name of this murderer was Obfuscate. She then pulled out a hand-drawn rendition of the man, but it was not really the best drawing. They were able to piece together that this man was wearing black clothing and a large sword, but that didn't really narrow anything down, unfortunately. Thegrea then asked Roa if he's searching for anyone so that they can both help each other. Roa had no one, but asked her for any information on the olive bioroid Olivi. Thegrea obviously didn't know anything, but she would mention it to the knight Lieta, who is the knight currently in charge of the 30th district. While they ate and conversed, the ground suddenly shook. An earthquake. The plates flew everywhere and everyone cowered under their tables. The earthquake lasted for quite a while, but once it ended, everyone expected to see a mess as they popped their heads from under their table. They were however surprised to find Maple holding all the plates in the air with her threads. Maple declared, "Mama told me even the greatest villains shouldn't waste their food." Thegrea felt pride in her apprentice and embraced her into her chest. Maple is clearly living the dream that we all will never get to live. Roa asked if the earthquakes had been commonplace lately, as many others didn't seem as shocked as he did. Thegrea says she heard that it is the harbinger of the fire regalis, but that's more of a local legend than it is fact. Maple was able to escape the promised land and declare she is full and that they should leave. Thegrea says her goodbyes and departs. Who is this obfuscate they talked about? Did he really murder Gerard? What could be the true cause of the earthquakes? Let's find the answers we seek in The CRAY Cross Epic.